Hello. Hi, grade 10. And so, this is going to be our first lesson for the second quarter. But before we begin, there is something that I would like you to answer in our links for the first quarter. So, um, just answer it. Ayan. And then, before I forget, I'm still computing your grades. For the secretaries, please don't forget to message me the recitation points of your classmates. I am still waiting. Okay? Ayan. So, okay. And so now we will be starting with the new quarter, and it is going to be about physics. So we are going to begin with the electromagnetic spectrum. Yeah, so that is chapter 6 in your textbook. Okay. And so what are electromagnetic waves? So we will start with defining what this is. So electromagnetic waves are a changing magnetic field induces a changing electric field and vice versa. So this is a saying that says that magnetic field and electric field are together. So before, electricity and magnetism are separated. But because of a study, there is a coining of the term electromagnetism. So that's why we have electromagnetic waves. So they induce each other and both cannot exist without the other. So if a device starts to start a changing magnetic field, then more or less an electric field will become present. And for example, if a device starts to produce an electric field, then more or less a magnetic field is also going to be induced. So that's why they are always together, because when one is formed, it induces the other. Okay? So now here is our definition for electromagnetic waves, or EM for short. So it is a form of energy emitted and absorbed by accelerating charged particles, which exhibit wave-like behavior as they travel through space. So electromagnetic waves is a form of energy. So yung mga devices natin, they are absorbed, they are tawag dito, and so they are delivered, in short. Okay, so yung EM waves kasi, there are a lot of applications for EM waves right now. Okay, so later we are going to discuss some of the advantages of EM waves. So this shows you the electric field and the magnetic field. So they are perpendicular with each other. Okay? So that's why they are always together. So the EM waves that we have, they contain both electric field and magnetic field. So yung nakikita nyo ngayon, they are always together and they are oriented perpendicular with each other. Okay? So they oscillate perpendicularly with each other. So yung isa vertically, yung isa naman horizontally. Okay? So next. And so we have James Clerk Maxwell. So he is one of the famous physicists that is related to EM waves. So he came up with four mathematical equations to link the electric and magnetic fields. So we call them the Maxwell's equation. But I'm not going to show you the equation because that is too high for your level. So it's enough that you know that he came up with mathematical equations so that he can link both electric and magnetic fields. Okay? So because of those equations, it became solid that electricity and magnetism are simultaneously happening. So magkasama sila. Okay? So here are some definition of terms. And so first we have the wavelength. This is just a recall. So we use the Greek letter lambda when we input it in our equation. So it is the distance between a point in the wave to the corresponding point on the next cycle of the wave. Okay? So, ayan, yan ay napag-aralan nyo na noong grade 7. Ano pa kayo? So, tingnan-tingnan nyo na lang yung definition. And then, next, we have frequency. So, this is the number of waves that passes through a given point in time. Ay, wait, nagtakpan pala siya. And through a given point, ayan, wait lang. Okay, ayan. So, kita na. Anyway, let's continue. So, again, frequency. So, that is the number of waves that passes through a given point per unit time. And the SI unit for that is S raised to -1 or hertz. And I forgot to mention that the unit for wavelength is meter because that is a distance. Okay? Next, for our basic wave equation. Yeah. So, I think, I'm not sure if you have encountered this one before, but this is the um, relationship that follows both um, the speed of a wave, the frequency, and also the wavelength. Okay? So we have V is equal to F lambda. So where V is the wave speed, so that is the speed of our EM wave. Next, we have the frequency, as I mentioned earlier, and lambda is the wavelength. So as you can see, velocity and frequency have a direct relationship. Velocity and wavelength also have a direct relationship, but frequency and wavelength have an indirect relationship. Okay? Yeah. So, since we're talking about the electromagnetic waves, so let's talk about the speed of light. This is one of the EM waves that we use right now. Okay? So, it is a constant, and we use the letter C, the small letter C, to designate the constant speed of light. So, this is the value of that one. Natakpan na naman. Pero that is 3 times 10 raised to 8. Sa 8 yan raise. So 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So that is the speed of light. So all EM waves travel at the same speed of light. So when in a word problem, if we're talking about EM waves, then we can assume that it travels in the speed of light. So we can use 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second. Okay? So let's have two sample problems. Okay, so for sample problem 1, what is the wavelength of a certain electromagnetic wave that is traveling in a vacuum? So again, we all know that it is an EM wave and has a frequency of 4 times 10 raised to 14 hertz. Again, take note of the frequency. It is 4 times 10 raised to 14. So let us solve this problem. And we are looking for the wavelength. Okay? So, share lang muna natin ito. Yan. So, let's solve this using Gresa. Ayan, I hope you still remember what Gresa is. And so, our given is a frequency of, ano yan? 4 times 10 raised to 14 hertz. And then, we also have the speed of light because we know that it is an EM wave. So, it is 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So we are looking for the wavelength or lambda. For the equation, we are going to use V is equal to F lambda. And since we're looking for lambda, let us divide both sides by F so that lambda will be alone. And divide both sides by F. This will be cancelled. And then lambda is equal to V over F. And then for our solution, and so lambda equals our V is 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second. And then our frequency is 4 times 10 raised to 14 hertz. So, makakancel yung second dyan kasi hertz is equivalent to per second. Okay? So, our answer for this one will be, and when you input the times 10 in your calculator, please use the times 10 raised to 10. So, we have different buttons for that one. So, for calculators, you have the EXP. And so, for other calculators, you have times 10. Ayan, so wag niyong mano-manong i-input yung multiply tapos yung 1, 0. Okay? Kasi may iba yung, posibleng maiba yung sagot nyo. So, pwedeng times 10 raised to x. So, I'm not really sure what is in your calculator. But if you want, you can just message or ask me or look for the manual of your calculator to know how to input scientific notation. Okay, but you can always ask me. So anyway, going back to our uh, problem solving. So, and so we have 3 times 10 raised to 8 divided by 4 times 10 raised to 14. So we are given with 7.5 times 10 raised to negative 7. Since it is a wavelength, we'll use meters. Okay? And so this is our answer for that one. Sample problem 1. Okay? And so pag may hindi na gets, balikan na lang. And okay, so let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. So let's go and read sample problem 2. So an electromagnetic wave of frequency 4 times 10 raised to 7 hertz travels in a free space. Determine the wavelength of the wave. So again, um, we are using an EM wave and it has a frequency of 4 times 10 raised to 7 hertz. Ayan. So again, we are looking for the wavelength. Wavelength uli yung hinahanap natin. Okay? So, ayan. So, I'm going to give you a few seconds to solve it on your own and then I'm going to write the answer here. So, kayo nang bahala sa solution. Okay? So, when you get the same answer, it means that you did the correct solution. But if you didn't, go back to the previous problem. Ayan, and then try to see where you went wrong. Okay, so pwede kasing namali ka lang sa input sa calculator or may na-misplace ka lang na ano. Ayun, sige. I'm going to give you a few more seconds. And again, you're looking for wavelength. Okay? So, pwede nyo i-pause kung hindi pa kayo tapos. Pero the correct answer for this one is okay, so the answer for this sample problem is 7.5 meters. So that is the wavelength of this EM wave. Okay, so I hope you got the correct answer. Yan. Okay. So, yan, clear ko na yan ha. Okay. So let's now proceed to, ayan, so tapos na tayo sa recall natin sa mga waves, EM, sorry. Tapos na tayo sa recall ng basic wave equation. So ngayon, let's go to the main topic for this lesson. So we have the EM spectrum. Okay? So the EM spectrum shows us the different types of wavelengths. As you can see, we have radio, microwave, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma rays. So it shows here the approximate scale of the wavelength. So kung gaano kalaki. And so kung nakita nyo, 10 raised to 3 yung laki ng radio waves. So yun yung pinakamalaki. So yung microwave yung sumunod. And the gamma rays, which have a wavelength of 10 raised to negative 12. So yan yung pinakamaliliit yung wavelengths. As you can see with the red line on top. So ganun na kaliliit yung wavelengths niya. And the frequency is also given. So the radio waves have a lower frequency, 10 raised to 4, compared to gamma rays, which has a frequency of 10 raised to 20 hertz. Okay, so ngayon, iisa-isahin natin yung nasa EM spectrum starting with radio waves. Okay, so ayan, another, just like what I've said earlier, it is a continuous range of electromagnetic waves arranged in order of frequency or wavelength. So, pinapakita lang ni EM spectrum yung pagkakasunod-sunod nila. Okay? And then it shows the relationship between frequency and wavelength na, ano yung sabi ko kanina? It has an indirect relationship. So ito, another definition, radiation, EM waves are radiations in the form of heat, light, and electromagnetic energy. Yan. So now, yan, ito uli ang ating EM spectrum and we're going to tackle all of these things. Okay, so here are the different regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. So let's start with radio waves. So it is the longest of all the electromagnetic waves. It's generated by the oscillation of electrons in an atom. So yung oscillation, so ibig sabihin, nag-go nasa repeated pattern yung oscillation ng ating electrons. And then it is discovered by Heinrich Hertz in 1887. Ayan. So this is Heinrich Hertz. And so let's look at different applications of radio waves. So first we have the radar. So it is short for radio detecting and ranging. It is used for detection of objects, weather forecasting, military surveillance, and air traffic control. So we have radars. Yan. So ito yung this is a military type of radar. So this one is used to detect enemy aircraft or other ano dito? And basta yung mga kalaban yung na ano nila dinedetect. And also sa mga kasi yan, sa mga pag-asa, yan, yung ginagamit nila for weather forecasting and for airplanes. Ayan, so we all have a control tower for airports. So sila yung nagmamanage ng air traffic control so that the airplanes don't crash with each other. Ayan, so para yung mga yung flight nila, yung dinadaanan nila, hindi sila magtatagpo at para ma-prevent yung accidents. Okay? So, radio waves are also found in your cell phones. And so, in what ways? So, we have the GPS with the Global Positioning System. So, it uses radio waves. So, syempre, meron tayong radio waves na pinapadala sa satellite sa taas. Ayan, and yun yung nagsasabi kung asaang parte ka ng mundo. We also have the Bluetooth. And so this is used to connect to devices. And so like your wireless headsets, yan, they use Bluetooth. We also have Wi-Fi. Yan, so this is the one that we use constantly right now, especially in online distance learning. We use Wi-Fi for us to communicate. Diba? So we also have the radio frequency identification or RFID. So this is the one used in mostly cars, but RFID is not limited to that one only. So it is a small device that stores information. So that is the one detected whenever a car passes through a booth. Then sa mga SLEX yan. So syempre yung mga nagpapa-RFID. Yun. And it's not just limited to cars, but it can also be put in humans. Yan. Or it can also be put in pets. And so, as you can see, we have here an RFID that is as small as a grain of rice. And then it is just embedded between the muscle and the skin. Okay? Usually for pets, they use this one for identification. Let's say nawala or nakatakas ang inyong pet. So, meron lang silang i-detect, let's say for example, nakalagay sa may neck part or nasa may bandang likod nakalagay yung RFID ng pet nyo. So, i-scan na lang yun, malalaman yung address, malalaman yung name nung pet. Okay? And so we also have magnetic resonance imaging or MRI. It views the internal parts of the body without surgery. So that one also is the medical use of radio waves. Yan. So yan yung kapag pumapasok yung tao sa loob ng machine. Now let's go to microwave. So this is the second region of the EM spectrum. It is produced at higher frequencies in electric circuit compared to radio waves. It is discovered by James Clerk Maxwell in 1864 and it is used for communication, radar, and cooking. So here are the different applications of microwaves. First, we have television. So the televisions that we use right now is using microwaves para ma-produce yung images na nakikita natin. Of course, this one is ayan, given na yan. It's called the microwave oven. So it uses heat so that it can penetrate the food. Yan, para uminit. Yan. So may microwaves din yan. We also have microwave ablation. So this one is used to for tumors. Yan. So kung napapansin nyo, inaano yung tumor, parang it is a non-invasive way to remove tumors. Yan. And we also have microwave imaging. And so and this is also one of the medical applications. Yan. Okay, now let's go to infrared waves or IR. And so it has a lower frequency than the red part of the visible spectrum. Ayan. And it is discovered by Sir William Herschel in 1800. So, it is felt as heat. Kaya siya infrared kasi mostly yung applications nito is using heat. Okay? So, here are some of the uses of infrared waves. And so, we have the remote control. Ayan. So, kung napapansin nyo, kapag dun sa may maliit na butas sa may top nung remote control, kapag pinipindot nyo yun, parang may umiilaw. So, yun yung ano natin, infrared. So, we also use infrared in these detection devices. Ayan. And for nighttime cameras. Ayan, night vision cameras. Yun. So, we also use infrared. Ayan. So, syempre, madedetect niyan yung mga gumagalaw kasi yung heat nun yung nadedetect. So, here are some of the medical uses of infrared waves. So, we have here the heat lamp. So, the heat lamp is used for to relieve, Basta this is a medical use for skin. Yan. So, yan. And we also have this ayan, infrared imaging. So, makikita natin kung saang parte ng katawan yung mas mainit. So, concentrated yung init ng katawan dito sa may gitna, and then yung other parts ay mas malamig compared to the other parts of the body. Yan. Next, we have visible light. So, it is the most familiar radiation to us because our eyes are sensitive to this region of the EM spectrum. Again, visible light, yan lang yung nakikita natin. We cannot see radio waves, we cannot see infrared waves, but we can only see the visible light. Okay? So, it has a sequence of colors, yung red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, forming the rainbow. And so here are some applications. So we also have the stoplight for those who are driving so that traffic can be regulated. We also have the headlights or rear lights of cars. We also have the light from rooms. And so meron tayong isang application ng visible light na titignan ngayon, which is visible light communication or VLC. So it uses illumination and communication. So it uses light to send information. So it is a form of information that can be sent using a light signal that is visible to humans. So let us watch this video for a while.
Imagine where we have LEDs in streetlights, in cars, in offices, in homes. Now imagine that these LEDs connect to the internet. Wi-Fi uses light, and in particular LED light, transmit data wirelessly. We can use laptops, we can use our smartphones to access the internet using ordinary off-the-shelf LED light bulbs. That will enable us a completely new connected world.
The light playing system from Pure Li-Fi enables the world's first fully networked Li-Fi solution. It enables people connected to one set of lights to move the next set while maintaining a networking session. All of the lights are hooked up to access points. These access points communicate over the backbone network. In the future, we will be going from mobile networks to Wi-Fi to Li-Fi.
Light doesn't penetrate the walls. Therefore, somebody outside the room will not be able to intercept with an ongoing wireless transmission. With light, we would be able to transmit data more securely. Our ambition is a world where light becomes day.
And so this is just it's not yet widely used, but it is one of the applications of light so that it can be more secure. Kasi nga, minsan di ba may mga nakikigamit ng wifi ng kapitbahay, lalo kapag nahahack. So this is one of the siguro more secure ways of accessing the internet and sending information, because as long as you know that the location where light is, then you know that those are the only devices that can receive the information. But again, the cons of that one is siguro isa sa mga disadvantage siguro nito is that light should always be present. So kapag dim yung light or kapag kailangan mo ng matulog or kailangan mo ng hindi ka makakagamit ng ng internet. Yun. So, kailangan patay yung ilaw. Pag patay yung ilaw, walang information na masisend. Ayun. Okay? Next. Ayan. Okay, so this is another application of visible light. We have laser. So, this is an acronym also. So, the whole meaning of laser is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So, ayan, so yung laser, ayan, ina-amplify yung light and then, ayan, so ginagamit yon kapag nagsistimulate ng radiation. So, these are the medical uses of that one. So, di ba meron tayong laser eye surgery? Ayan. So, and also we also have this laser, ano yan? Parang magnification. So, parang ginagamit yung laser para makabuo ng image ng mga sobrang maliliit na bagay. Yan. Okay? Now we are in the ultraviolet radiation. So, we have UV radiation. This is another region of the EM spectrum. So, this is just above the visible light in the EM spectrum. So, kaya siya ultraviolet kasi after violet siya. Okay, it was discovered by Johann Wilhelm Ritter in 1801, and it is also known as black light. Okay, black light kasi tawag dito, hindi naman siya ganun tawag dito, kaliwanag kapag ginagamit natin siya. So, di ba usually we have forensic uses for UV light. So, it can detect fingerprints in different objects that your fingers touch. Ayan, so Yan din yung ginagamit um, ng mga police or mga investigators so that they can find the culprit. And then, it is also used to detect the fake currency. So, di ba usually when you go to the mall or to some establishments, they put your money under a mini box that has a violet light. So, they use it and then they use it to check if your money is real. So, lalagay lang nila yung pera sa ilalim and then pag may nakita silang iba, edi fake money yon, counterfeit. And so it also has some medical use. So it is used to sterilize equipments. And it is also used to cure some certain skin ailments. Yan. So nakababad yung kamay niya at saka paa doon. Okay? Next, we have X-ray. So malapit na tayo sa dulo. And so it is sometimes called Röntgen rays after the discoverer William Conrad Röntgen. So, buti na lang X-rays ang tinawag dyan. Kaya siya X kasi unknown rays. So, nag-stick na lang yung pangalan na X-rays sa kanya. And then it is classified as soft X-rays when it penetrates the soft tissue of your body and hard when it penetrates the bones. So, kung malamang nakapag-X-ray naman na kayo noon, or I'm not sure. And so, for the X-rays found in the hospital, so it is a soft X-ray because it penetrates soft tissue but it doesn't penetrate the bones. That's why the X-ray in the hospital can see the bones clearly. Yan, kasi hindi siya tumatagos sa bones. Ayan. And yung hard X-ray natin, yun yung ginagamit naman sa airport security and all. Ayan. So, medical uses, ayan. So, ginagamit siya for, ayan, nakikita natin na may wisdom tooth dito na hindi pa, yun, na hindi pa lumalabas, di ba? So, that is a panoramic X-ray. Yan. So, I think I was able to have one like that. So, parang ang nangyari is, may kinagat lang ako, tapos parang may camera na gumanyan, para makuha yung lahat ng ngipin for the dentist. And ito namang nasa baba, yan yung X-ray para naman dun sa mga, yan, para makita yung buong katawan. Okay, other uses is yan, for airport security, this one is for the hard X-ray. And this one is also an imaging. Lastly, we have gamma rays. So this is one carries the highest energy and exhibit the strongest penetrating power. So kung yung X-ray ay nakaka-penetrate na siya, yung gamma rays naman mas nakaka-penetrate pa siya kasi mas mataas yung energy na ina-exhibit nito. It is emitted when an excited nucleus comes to its ground state and during the decay of certain elementary particles. So ito naman is, kaya siya maliit yung wavelength niya kasi this one is in the subatomic level. Yan, so it is discovered by Paul Villard in 1900. So ito yung isa sa mga huli na na-discover na EM waves. So we have different uses of gamma rays. So we have here ayan. So, yung gamma rays, ginagamit yan para mag-detect ng sa cancer. Ayan. So, parang may pinapainom lang dun sa pasyente. Yan, for radiotherapy. Ayan. Tapos, parang pag may pumunta ka na dun sa loob ng machine, dahil nga may ininom ka na, hindi naman poisonous na liquid para ma-detect yung siguro mga cancer cells and all. And it also used in agriculture, so it is used for food irradiation. Ayan, so ginagamit din yan para magkaroon ng, let's say, certain mutations in, in crops. Usually, pag gusto nating palakihin yung mga crops natin, and so, yan, kasi usually ginagamit ng gamma rays for mutation. So, for agriculture, we have flood-tolerant rice and drought-tolerant rice. So, yan yung mga bago na variants ng rice na meron tayo. So, this one can be used in places that are always raining. So kapag laging binabaha yung lugar, kasi pag binabaha yung mga palayan, namamatay, nalulunod yung mga palay. So nawawala ng kita yung mga farmers natin. 'Di ba? So ngayon, meron silang na-develop na flood-tolerant variety of rice para kahit na maulanan or magkaroon ng baha, hindi naman mamamatay yung palay. There are also places wherein there is drought or it's always hot and the water easily evaporates. So as you can see, we have cracked soil here. So for drought tolerant rice, ayan, so ginawa din yan para hindi masyadong malugi yung mga farmers natin, lalo na kapag may drought sa kanila. So yung mga advancements na yan is brought about by the International Rice Research Institute. So ito yung isa sa mga nagbubuo ng mga different varieties of rice na meron tayo sa Pilipinas. Okay? So that's it for our lesson. There will be an assessment in our link, so just check it out. Okay? So yun lang. God bless. Goodbye, grade 10.